Hello again, Steve here to weigh in on something to do with Trump. It seems like anybody who has any kind of a YouTube channel, even if they only get 4 or 5 views, like myself, on each video, maybe wouldn't be doing their job if they didn't weigh on something to do with Trump at least once a month. I mean, the mainstream media, it seems like he completely dominates them. So why not us little underlings once in a while, right? No, seriously, I made the comment before, I think maybe here, but elsewhere as well, that Trump's got to be the world's greatest and most adept troll who has ever existed. I mean, here's a guy who, I mean, all he's got to do is tweet out a misspelling or call Melania a different name or something like that, and the whole, mainstream media and a lot of the alt media too, really just takes it up and runs with it. And he's probably chuckling under his bed covers at night. It just must be hilarious for him. No, he dominates the news cycle, and this is a guy who, wrote about this back in the 80s, and it seems like most of these people are completely oblivious as to what he's doing. He catches them every time. And it was funny because up here in so-called Canada, every time you turn on the news, there's something about Donald Trump, it seems like, and especially right now because there's something called the G7 meeting taking place in some place in Quebec. Perhaps in about a day's time, and there's this whole, steel and aluminum tariff thing that Trump has said he's going to bring in or has brought in or whatever, and it seems like whoever's talking is talking about that. So it's like he's able to drive the agenda, almost on remote control at this point. It's really quite astounding. And apparently Trudeau and Macron, these great paragons of virtue and leadership and statesmanship, are having a pre-summit to discuss how they're going to deal with Trump's evil tariffs and taking America first and so on. And I think for one thing, it's really hilarious how he's able to run the show, but also I think it's awesome whenever these paper tigers like Trudeau and Macron are talking about, when anybody has an opportunity to direct what they're doing, it distracts them from the destruction that they'd otherwise be doing. I remember years ago, there was a guy I used to work with, and he was a complete Democrat. He lived in the States actually, but he was a complete Democrat and a liberal and everything else, and he stood for everything that I didn't. And I remember we were talking about one time about how there was a government shutdown coming or something. And I thought, that was great. It's great. They're going to shut down the government. I hope they leave it shut down. That'd be wonderful. And it was also, we were also having discussion about how it was a minority government was coming in too. And I made the comment up in Canada anyways. I said, that's effectively like a shutdown government because nothing can get done. It's wonderful. Nothing get passed. It's a complete stalemate, everything. I hope it's like that all the time. The less government can do, the better. Wonderful. The less damage they can do. But he thought it was a terrible idea because government should be able to do stuff, right? So, no, I think it's great, this whole discussion. And you can see that the Trump derangement syndrome or the Trump effectiveness has infected everybody, because it doesn't seem like it seems like even people who think they know what they're talking about out there in the public. I heard a guy talking about last night about how crazy Trump is and how he doesn't know how to deal with this world catastrophe of tariffs being brought on and so on. And it's not only the politicians, it's those who are listening to the politicians and those who are listening to the mainstream media and so on, who are being affected by this distraction, this trolling, and they're falling for it, and they think that it's almost like it's the end of the world. It's really hilarious, but they don't realize Trump's methodology, right? They don't realize the genius of it, which is, some people are calling it 4D chess or whatever it is, but it's basically throw out something, get everybody to light their hair on fire, and then there's something behind it, which is NAFTA. He wants a better deal. He wants a better trade deal, right? And he's already saying that he's willing to negotiate with Canada and Mexico, which is what NAFTA is the deal with. And here he has everybody pulling their hair out. So yeah, he'll be willing to relax the tariffs for sure. but to get what he wants. He probably doesn't care about the tariffs that much. There's other things that he does care about more. But he realizes that if he throws something out and everybody lights their hair on fire, he's hit a trigger point. So now when he goes into negotiations, yeah, that's up for negotiations too, right? Because it's negotiation, it's the deal. I mean, as I've said earlier, Trump's the great deal maker, The Art of the Deal, the very, very famous book written by him years and years and years ago, who nobody, I'm sure that Trudeau and Macron haven't read it, so they didn't even know. Very likely they haven't. I don't know if they maybe even heard of it. I mean, it's hilarious because, Trump has been this billionaire tycoon who's made amazing deals that nobody could do with. He's been able to build, a skating rink that this New York City couldn't build for 7 or 8 years, and he builds it in 10 months. And they ask him to do it because they're at wit's end. He's a guy who he can get stuff done, right? What has a guy like Trudeau done? I think he's been a substitute teacher, and he's been a Marxist, and he's been a ski instructor, and he praises, Fidel Castro, and he's a male feminist, and he says he's got nice hair. He's got probably better hair than Trump, actually, but he's younger hair, mind you. So, but no, I say that Trump is an unbelievable troll, and it's absolutely hilarious to watch, and it's very effective. Even though that so many people are after him, so many people, really, really hate him. In spite of that, he's able to get stuff done. It's hilarious. What can we learn from this? Well, one thing I think we can learn from this, one of the things I got to do is I got to reread Art of the Deal. And I've got to reread The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. Those are the two, I would say, those are the two most influential books that we could learn to understand the brilliance of Trump. Love him or hate him. Even if you hate him, we have to understand this guy is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing because he's outwitted so many people, and he continues to outwit them. He continues to troll people to their own embarrassment if they had any potential to be embarrassed within their bubble. Just unbelievable how people fall for this, and they're falling for it again. And I think it's great because these really destructive people, I think people like Macron and Trudeau, are distracted right now by the looks of things, and therefore, if they're distracted and only talking about stuff that Trump is talking about, then they're not able to do anything else. Anything they do, in my opinion, because they are basically borderline communists, certainly socialists, certainly social justice warriors, and all things destructive like that. If they're not able to do that sort of stuff and talk about that stuff and spend their time on that stuff, all the better. Steve here again, great chatting with today's lesson on what we can learn from trolling Trump. Talk again soon. If you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll talk again later. Bye now.